Good evening. My name is Paul Magna. I'm the board chair for Sunrise School Division, and welcome to our regular board meeting for March the 7th. I'm going to call our meeting to order, and we're going to have O Canada sung by Hazelridge School. Please stand if you can do so. Thank you to Hazelridge School. We have a treaty acknowledgement, and I'm going to ask Trustee Dent to read out our treaty acknowledgement.
We acknowledge the traditional land upon which Sunrise School Division resides as Treaty 1 territory. We honor our partnership with Canada's original peoples and respect the gifts of Indigenous history, culture, and language. We commit to moving forward in partnership with our communities in a spirit of collaboration and reconciliation.
Thanks, Dustin. Before we get underway, for the people that are online, we have the full complement of our trustees here. With us, we have Senior Admin Timko and Thiessen. We have Assistant Superintendent Fielberg, and we have board support as Stacy Bonato. In with us as well is that we have Lana Gardner, the principal from Hazelridge School. We also have Serena from the Sunrise Teachers Association, and we have Kathy Majowski, thanks. She is the NDP candidate that has been attending our meeting, so welcome to everybody that's here. So we're going to adopt our agenda. Be it resolved, the board approved the agenda. Were we adding anything to the agenda? Trustee Nicol? Thank you. So we're going to add...
I'd like to add the electricity project to the agenda.
Okay, so we're going to add on 8.12 the electricity project. Thank you. Anyone else for the agenda? Okay, so be it resolved, I need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Trustee Nicol, seconded by Trustee Smith. Questions to the agenda? Hearing none, we'll vote. And it passed 9-0. Thank you. Chair's comments, certainly that if you have questions that you're online, please send your questions to jody.thiessen@sunrisesd.ca. Certainly your name and address of the sender to be included in the email, and we'll certainly try to address those questions near the end of the evening. I'm also going to open up to share a story. Anyone would like to go ahead? Trustee Boyd.
I just want to share that Paul Magnan and myself sat at the Job and Career Fair sponsored by the Springfield Chamber of Commerce on Saturday. It was a great opportunity. It was a busy morning, great opportunity for us to connect with parents and students in our division, and they shared some of the information about their experience in our schools or what's been happening. Most of the comments were positive, which was really good to hear. And it gave us the opportunity, we shared information about our budget, so they could know exactly what our funding was. And we also were able to let people know what job opportunities we had, as well as listening to information from them. So it was a good opportunity, it was a good day, and look forward to that happening again. And the other thing is that trustees were able to tour Hazel Ridge School, Heartland Colony, as well as the Sunrise Bus Garage on Thursday. Thanks to Jody and Kathy for arranging that, and thanks to everybody for welcoming us into their buildings, and look forward to the next round of tours.
Thanks, Lorraine. Anyone else? Trustee Rowan?
I just want to give a shout out to the Ecole Dugald School Drama Club. They've been hard at work practicing for their upcoming play, Mystery at Shady Acres. The production will be next week on the 14th and 15th at the Dugald Community Club.
Thanks, Melissa. Anyone else? Trustee Nicol?
White Rose School had a PAC meeting on yesterday, and after I've attended PAC meetings for 60 years, something happened at that meeting that never happened in the 60 years I've ever attended one. In order for a number of moms to come attend the PAC meeting, there's a number of dads that volunteered to look after their kids in the school. So I think there was about 25, well maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit, but the number of kids that were looked after by the dads. I'm hoping that's something that will continue in White Rose School, that the dads will take part in the PAC meeting by looking after either looking after the kids, or they switch off and let the dads come to the PAC meeting and the mums look after the kids. Either way, I thought we had probably the best PAC meeting for a long time on Monday.
Don, how was the school after where the dads looked after the kids?
I left so I didn't have to clean up.
Thanks, Trustee Nicol. That is awesome. Anyone else? Trustee Harris?
As we know, February was I Love to Read month. I had the opportunity to read at Gillis School to a number of classes. Great enthusiasm from the kids. First opportunity to do that in 3 years. Every month should be I Love to Read month for all students. Thank you.
Anyone else? So I want to just piggyback on what Trustee Boyton said. It gave us a great opportunity to listen to students, parents, community members, because they were kind of wondering, well, what are two trustees here doing? And, you know, you're talking about jobs, and it really wasn't about jobs that we were talking about, but we did have conversations. But I want to give a shout out to, we heard from a lot of students at Springfield Collegiate that were there. And give a shout out to the staff at Springfield Collegiate, because I heard from kids about saying, you know, things about their teachers, that they're pretty happy about their teachers. They're happy about the involvement that their staff is getting into the, you know, with activities after schools and those kind of things. And there wasn't just one student that was telling us that. There was lots. So kudos to the crew that at SEI, to Kevin, you know, and the staff there. That was pretty, you know, when I sat there, it kind of, hey, that's awesome for what we're hearing. So I was pretty impressed by it, so kudos to them. And do you know what, I can't get away from talking about high school hockey and, you know, SEI, when I was in the gym and looking at the banners that their hockey team, now they just lost in the finals, so semifinals, but kudos to them. Kudos to Lactabani, you know, for the work, Lactabani Pinawa for their work. They lost in the semifinals as well. So do you know what, the finals are going on, and we'll see how Powerview is going to go ahead and do, as we're down 1-0, so we've got our work cut out for us. But it was, again, I agree with Lorraine. It was such a good, you know, few hours. I was exhausted, by the way, but it was a really good opportunity to reach out, so thanks. And thanks for people for helping us organize that. Anyone else? Okay. Let's move on. Kath, I'm going to turn it over to you as we have a board delegation.
Thank you, Paul. And I'm going to welcome Lana Gardner, who is the principal of Hazel Ridge School that you can see there on the screen. And she's going to take her time and take you on a little journey of what's going on at Hazel Ridge School. So I'll talk less and you can talk more. All yours, Lana.
Thanks, Kathy. Well, good evening, everyone. It's nice to see all of you. I know you came by the other day to our school. This first slide is part of our Literacy Project initiative, and the students actually were doing a persuasive writing piece this past fall, and the following year they wanted to create a community library. So in conjunction with Art Linke, who created it, and Ernie Reimer, who is a local carver, came and carved that for us in the bench and donated. So the kids take care of that library. They community members come and change a book, put a book in there. It's a great piece for us to explore that literacy outcome with our community. The kids are busy shoveling there, so they take care of it during the winter time. It's not just a summer affair. So students are shoveling to make sure they have access for the community to take part in it. Our school continues to work on writing. So Hazelridge Schools recognize the importance of students to have a strong voice, a good writing voice, and based on our data. So this past year, we're working on June 2023, all K-5 students will demonstrate gains in their writing across all the content areas. The data that's presented here is our writing report card data. It's for over 2 years, and it's the term 3 data that's presented. For the 2020-2021 year, students, there was 90% achieved a 3-4, and there was 10% that were receiving a 1-2. The following year, it went down to 67 students achieved, percent of the students achieved a 3-4 in the June report card, and 33% of the students needed extra support. The staff sat down and we discussed of how to restructure. What does that look like? And the absence of students over the past few years, we've noticed that there's larger groups of students that are needing that intervention. So what does that look like for us at Hazelridge to restructure? And part of this presentation, I'll explain a little bit of how we did that for this following year. Data collection, the TAI, is one that we have been, that's a kindergarten data collection. Observational survey, if you look above, that the colors, the red and yellow are areas of grade 1 students that have areas that they need to work on. So that is good data for us to focus that intervention piece within the classroom and with our supports. Observations and rubrics throughout all the grades that we provided from K-5, writing benchmarks that we have set out per grade from K-5. We've presented Words Their Way inventory, which you can see at the bottom also identifies areas of word building and a spelling stage in the end of where do we need to focus our interventions. Our writing progression data is utilized in a way that teachers create one class profile at this time on a writing progression. And what they do is they take that data and they plot students and pinpoint areas of where they are on this class progression data sheet. From that, they utilize that information to focus their next cycle of their literacy block of learning and that focused writing area, so that each student can work on their strategies of improving their writing. So we are looking forward to that electronic version. There is, Mrs. Robertson is part of that writing group, and they're working on finishing up that piece so that our staff can look at that electronic version and instead of the hard copy. So yeah. Our literacy track moving forward. Woo woo! Go Hazelridge. Right by the tracks. Our school supports that we have in place, we have a literacy-rich environment. We do provide an hour and a half of literacy block time, and it's everybody at the same time, so that we can have buddy reading, buddy writing, we can have shared walkthroughs of what that looks like, and have interventions where we can have that integration of when clinicians come in, and work on those strategies we need to work on with students. Some things of gradual release of responsibility is important. A lot of the teachers work on I do, we do, and you do strategy. I'm not sure if you've all heard of that, but if you come to Hazel Ridge, we can show you what that looks like. And a lot of the resources that we purchase, there's magnetic letters and guided reading level books, teacher resources, are all supported by our SBDM dollars, so thank you so much for those. Another piece that we've kind of integrated for resources this past year are speech to text for some students, as well as called SNAP. So that helps to integrate more of those pieces so that students feel more comfortable in their writing and expressing themselves in an easier way. We have also Joanna Captain and Natalie Lee, and part of our clinician team that's helped to growing our balanced literacy program, as well as our librarian who takes part in that focused area of needs of the reading levels and those mentored books that we need in the classroom to present to the kids during the literacy block time. So part in our school we created and adapted is our resourceful strategies in a reading and writing intervention. So part of that, we have our group, which is our teachers and our resource teachers, support intervention teacher, and EAs and clinicians. So we support each other in that respects to that group of students that need that extra support. So what does that intervention look like? So in the grade 1 to 4, we have 45 minutes and 4 times per cycle that we have it scheduled in, where we're personally in that classroom and working with the groups of students on the strategies needed to move them forward, and 2 times per cycle, 45 minutes for the grade 5 students. With that intervention piece, we also, it also goes home, so that communication back to home and back to school is there so that they can move forward in their growth in their writing piece. Some of the strategies that we've looked towards in more of a resource way, and I mentioned this, was the next steps forward in guided reading, word study and phonics, rhyme magic, and so those are some of the pieces that we do our book studies on, and we have to sit down as a staff that we look at as a resource for conversation pieces on next steps. Sunrise Literacy Project is in year 2 for us. So that's a piece where Joanna and Natalie come in and they observe and inform in a variety of different ways for our writing goal, but also assisting with professional dialogues. And we have staff and other teachers that come to our school and are taking part in walkthroughs during that literacy block. As I said, the walkthroughs are, am I too close? Sometimes, sorry. So I mentioned the walkthroughs. So this year, the staff has started to take part in walkthroughs to focus learning and discussions. Teachers to observe and reflect on what that looks like in the student learning and strategies and structure in place. They have reflective conversations usually during their collaborative time, which is once a cycle, and it's based off of these walkthroughs, and very powerful, moments of, of observations and next steps for what they want to try in their classroom. So it's very exciting. Benchmarks, data collection, and next steps, that's something that we have in place respects to students the first term are working on persuasive narrative, they have a benchmark that they do their first writing, and then when they do their final, they do a comparison. They look at their criteria and feedback, and they see that progression of how did I improve and where did I improve. So them to have that conversation and to be aware of their improvements throughout the process is so powerful. And in the second term, we usually do informational, and the last one we do is professional, purposeful letter writing. So that's kind of where I had mentioned about some pieces to do with our literacy community library, so and some other initiatives that we have. I did want to mention, and I apologize, that our class profiles and writing progressions, which we mentioned, are a baseline. I'm not sure if you're aware, but our class profiles help to provide us, when we sit down as a team, to what are those next steps and how can we improve. So we sit down with our student services team and the teachers, and we plan from there. This is our anchor charts. These are powerful tools that are provided and in the classroom that the teachers work through, and they put them up as they are working on that strategy. So they're there to assist students in that progression of the writing process. Yeah. Last one is if you have any questions. These are just some authentic writing shared with the students. Students had sensory cards for seniors they created. They were writing and doing tasks. We have a coding club. That's the type of writing. They were presenting that as well. Persuasive writing for the music wall. They wanted to design and create a music wall, so that got completed this year. And obviously, yeah, our conference time is always a wonderful time for them to share their writing and their learning with their parents. Do you have any questions for me? Maybe.
Thanks very much, Alana. We will open it up to questions, but one of the things for sure, you know, we had the opportunity, 8 of us had the opportunity to be in your building and spend some time with you, and that was, you know, firsthand. It's great that you're coming and presenting here, but when we got a chance to be in your building and kind of see all the things that are going on, you know what, it was impressive. So thanks for coming tonight and sharing, but I'll open it up to people here. Questions for Alana? Don, Trustee Nicol?
On your guiding reading, are you using a kit or are you using, like, explain what guiding reading is.
So this is I will get this. So we do have, it's called the Next Steps in Forwarding Guided Reading. So it is kind of a book resource, and there's many other resources that go with it. It's John Richardson and the divisional supports that are in place. We sit as a team, and many other schools are kind of following and working through these pieces. And it's a powerful resource of information to teach writing and reading together. Any questions?
So it's not a kit. Like when you went to school, you probably had a kit called SRA kit, guided reading, that you had these pieces of paper out there and you read. It's nothing like that.
No, it's not like that. No.
Trustee Nicol, you're dating yourself when you're talking about See, Dick, Run reading kit to where you were. I'm just teasing you, but no, great. Anyone else? Questions for Trustee Smith?
Actually, I was, and I guess it's something about having a smaller school. You do have some benefits, like the literacy block. I love that idea because you can, the bigger kids can go with the little kids and you could swap it and it's all one thing. I love that. I actually had a question. Do you find children struggling more with reading on a book? Just reading, sitting down and reading compared to always having tech, always everything tech. In the last few years, have you noticed that there's a decline in kids learning to read?
I do see that there is students that aren't aware of and don't have the love for reading. So providing, I think that introduction of that before they come to school, of I love to read and those kind of pieces. So I think that would help to assist with some of those pieces. And sometimes it's interest. So sometimes finding that interest for the students of what they love to read will help them to fall in love and want to read more about a specific subject. And then those strategies kind of fall into those pieces of what we need to work on, right? And to move forward. Okay? I hope I answered your question.
In the class profiles, so is that based on each individual student in that class, and then they have a discussion with the teacher that's taking them over to see like if they have any struggles, if they have any developmental disabilities, anything like that? Is that the idea behind that?
Yep. So in the class profile, we present information related to literacy in different areas, so reading, writing, math, and areas in different parts of numeracy. And we sit down and we discuss for each child and what their needs and where they're at and what are those next steps. And if the teacher is seeing that there's needing to be different kinds of intervention, the resource teacher will help to provide what that looks like. And then we have sometimes extra supports that we can help to put in place during those times of learning, right? So yes, that's the next steps for those for the class profiles. So they help to, and we help to bring those class profiles up to date every 6 to 7 weeks, and then we have that conversation. And it's in a common file, so it's a living document of what that looks like. So it's always changing, and we can always reference it as a team. So it's not, oh, due date is here, this is what it is. So once those assessments are in place, it's plopped in, it's put in, and then we can make reference to it and see what it looks like and sounds like, so we can keep on planning forward.
Just wanted to thank you for the tour of the school. The kids were very excited, very enthusiastic, especially with their programming and their Lego. It was amazing, and the fact that you use basically every inch of that building. Thank you.
Any other questions? Kath, did you want anything?
Thank you, Lana. I think that we've done hopefully we've done a decent job of de-acronymizing education for trustees, and you're starting to hear some of those same bits of language. You've been hearing data triangulation a lot, so I feel like we've kind of gotten used to what that language is. And I want to thank you for bringing up walkthroughs, because that's also a very important piece of what we do, and some of that really strong, promising practice in education. That notion of teachers watching what other teachers are doing and then having designed reflective time to connect to their own practice and think about how they change and shift their practice for the best interest of kids. It's absolutely a phenomenal way for teachers to get better at their craft. And then again, you've done a brilliant job of anchoring that in what the data is, whether that's class profiles or some of your anchor charts and those documents. So thank you for bringing that to our new jargon.
Thank you for listening.
So thanks on behalf of the board, Lana, for, again, what I think Trustee Smith said about the tour that we had, and that shared a lot of information about your school, and then tonight, certainly the work that you went ahead and did. So we got lots of information, from you when we were just there, and thanks for tonight. We appreciate it.
Very welcome. Thank you.
I'm going to move on to our minutes on 5.0. So be it resolved that the board adopt our February 21st board meeting minutes. I need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Trustee Rowan, seconded by Trustee Nicol. Any questions on those minutes? Okay, hearing none, we'll vote. Voted. It passed 9-0. Thank you for doing that. Superintendent's report, Kath?
Thank you. Just a quick highlight reel. Some of the things that we've been talking about are on our Sunrise Learning Framework, and so that's attached as a document always to the superintendent's report. It's also hovering in the background here on a poster board. So when we talk about some of the supports that help in our schools, we have 2 divisional principal positions that help support schools, and they work really hard with schools on how do they then make sure that they're doing the divisional expectations that we have, how do they build that instructional leadership capacity with our administrators, how do they help support the work of the program leaders, and also kind of take a look at some of our program reviews. So Jody Wilgosh and Trevor Reed are the people who are in those positions. They and all other principals report to the superintendent. They are part of our Sunrise Teachers Association collective agreement, and they are a pretty important role to making sure that our students have success in the classroom because they are educational through and through. We try to keep them that way and make sure they're stuck deep in the heart of education. I've mentioned before that we are going to go back to an in-person developing leaders cohort this spring. So we have teachers that come from across the division and join us for a leadership cohort. There will be information coming out to schools, so they'll be able to see that. As you noted, we had a thank you for Hazelwood School, Heartland Colony School, and our transportation department was last Thursday's tour, and we are going out on tour again on the 23rd to visit Powerview, Lactabani Senior, and Springwell Colony School. So trustees will be out and about checking out what's happening in Sunrise. I want people to mark their calendars for May 16th and 17th because we've had a bit of a hiatus from Youth Parliament being unable to gather, and it is back, and there are people hard at work finalizing some of the bills, and it is absolutely fabulous to see the debate skills that are happening here. I always love to give a shout out because it is one of my favorite things in the whole wide world to watch a grade 5 student stand up and gut one of our grade 11s or 12s in their debate skills, and I feel terrible that I'm saying that but that's a bit of the Youth Parliament bit, and they do argue some of the bills, and it just makes me smile when we have those kids who stand up and have their argument skills right honed in. Also wanted to make sure that we said out loud that we are now, Tuesday, 4 days into a switch to a new student information system. So we have pulled the switch to move away from Edsembly and towards PowerSchool as our software. That's the software that tracks telephone numbers, report card marks, attendance, everything that has to do with students. And it is right in report card time. So we have teachers who are madly working hard to make sure that all of the information is correct. You might see that a school has had to shift their report card date by a day or two because they want very much to get that right. There will also be a comment on the bottom of the report card just reminding folks as parents to take an extra special look at those report cards. So if the attendance happens to be incorrect, or there's an extra number somewhere, or maybe there's a number missing on the report card, please make sure we contact the school so that we can get that correct, because they are doing an extra great job of looking, but with almost 4,800 students, there are going to be some small bumps and bruises, and are asking folks to take a look and just help us out with that. Trustees in this room are heading off to their annual conference next week, the 16th and the 17th, where they will be meeting with all other school boards across the province and having educational debate of their own, making sure that they set some policy for how education rolls in the province. So looking forward to some great representation from this room. Unless there's questions, that is my report.
Thanks, Kath. Anything for Kath? Okay, thank you. We'll move on. So 6.2 is our draft reporting schedule. It's on there all the time for your information. It's a reminder about where we are. If there's questions about it, we'll take them, but it is straightforward as to what's the stuff that we're doing, but it keeps us on track. Anyone? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on. We have our Secretary Treasurer's report. Jody.
Yeah, just to bring the board up to speed on what's going on in the world of operations. Transportation did add 4 new drivers to the spare list from our last meeting. So their pool for spares are at a total of new addition this year is 14. So they've been definitely making the effort to grow that spare pool. And we've been constantly reviewing and in discussions with many of the capital programs going on in maintenance. Highlighted in the report are a couple projects going on. And just the other day I received notification that there's been application for the occupancy permit for Whitemouth. We're just waiting for the Office of the Fire Commission to approve it. So we're just around the corner to taking the keys and taking ownership of Whitemouth Science Lab. The other two schools, we're still in the process of reviewing the deficiencies and getting that updated, but the timeline is about mid-March, mid to end March, when we can say yes, all those projects are complete. So it's great to see it's right around the corner. And I think the others are just a couple highlights of what's been taking place in the other departments. As Kathy noted, ICT has been busy with the schools with the Power School switchover. And of course, I touch in the report about our tours, going to see Hazel Ridge and Heartland Colony School, as well as the bus garage here in Beausejour.
Thanks, Jody. Any questions for Jody? Jody, I'm glad that you mentioned about Hazel Ridge, because I want to thank Trustee Boytson for walking up and down Hazel Ridge Road with that sandwich board to make sure that we could go ahead and get that lift. I'm teasing Trustee Boytson, but it is something that was on our radar, and you know what, we're pretty excited that that is going to go ahead and happen, because Trustee Boytson did bring up to us this year certainly about when you have some of your seniors coming into Hazel Ridge School and can't get into the gym, you know what, it is great to go ahead and see it. So I tease her about the sandwich board, but you know what, it was great to go ahead and see where we're getting with that. So kudos to that. So we have some so we have some board business, and we have a big thing in front of us, and that's our budget. So I'm going to read out our budget and give an opportunity for trustees to speak to it. So be it resolved that the board give final approval to the 23-24 operating budget totaling $74,485,874 in operating expenditures and transfers to capital excluding adult ed and learning centers. And be it further resolved that the board approve the special requirement for the 23-24 year be set at $42,205,946, resulting in a special levy of 2023 for all municipalities being set at $35,595,341. $38,595,341. Thank you. I don't know where the marbles were. And be it further resolved that the board approve the use of the accumulated surplus in the amount of $673,953 to balance the 23-24 budget. So I need a mover and a seconder before we can get this on the table to discuss. Moved by Trustee Nicol, seconded by Trustee Boytson. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give the opportunity for trustees to go ahead and talk to it for that's there. Yeah, you know what, if you give you a chance, we'll just open up the floor. And so I'm going to go round table, and I'm going to start Trustee Nicol.
All right. I was a little bit disappointed to hear in the paper that we were supposed to be getting 6.1% increase, and we only got 3.34. I was a little bit disappointed about that. And then hearing the municipality is getting a 24% increase, and we only got a 3.3. So those are two things I was disappointed in. Also, on Friday, I got a big check in the mail of $225 that I don't think I needed, that I thought the government could have spent that money more wisely and put it on education. So what I have done is I have written that check over to the school division, so they got a check of $225 that will be used for education in the Whitemouth, Reynolds area. And at this time, this is my soapbox thing, I'm asking the ratepayers of Whitemouth, Reynolds to think of doing the same thing. If they can afford to give the $225 to the Whitemouth School and Reynolds area, I think that the students deserve more than they were getting. So that's my challenge. I wrote to the ratepayers that have voted for me. So that's all I have to say.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Trustee Nicol. Trustee Smith, comment? No? Trustee Reed, any comment?
Just to say that I support the budget.
Trustee Rowan?
It was a difficult budget for everyone in the room here, and lots of disappointments. I am happy that we are at least able to provide what we are able to provide, and unfortunately we'll be utilizing a large portion of our surplus, and feel disappointed that the pressure was put on us to have to go that route. And I'm hoping that our communities will be getting refunds or less taxation through their property will think of other ways they can support their community schools, because this has been a challenging budget. Thank you.
Trustee Rowan?
I echo Trustee Rowland's thoughts that this was a very difficult budget, but I think that the board worked together really well to make the decisions that we did. Do I wish that we could have given the schools and the students more? Absolutely. But unfortunately, we had some very difficult decisions to make. So thank you to everyone that helped facilitate this process. I learned a lot.
Trustee Harris?
I would like to thank our Secretary Treasurer and Senior Admin for the time and hard work it took to get us to this point. Unfortunately, due to no fault of our own, we need to present a deficit budget requiring the division to dip into our accumulated surplus in order to balance it. Yes, we are adding 2 new teachers and 2 new buses, but Senior Admin did ask us for more, including more EA and student support services staff, as well as several buses. Unfortunately, due to a cutback from the provincial government of $850,000 due to provincial equalization, we have not been able to add all of the requests that came to us. I am thankful, though, that we are able to present a budget that does not contain any cuts that would affect the education of the students in Sunrise School Division.
Trustee Dent?
I think Trustee Harris just nailed it. I think I would echo those sentiments and everybody else's. It was a challenging process for us. There were a lot of asks. There were a lot of things that we wanted to support, but regrettably we weren't able to.
Trustee Boyton?
Just basically echoing what everybody else has said, and just the fact that we go through a whole process that starts in November. We go out to our communities, we ask them what they need to, help better the education of our students. We make up their lists, we get it all ready, and then when we get the funding announcement, we basically have to throw all their ideas into the garbage can because we don't have the money to support it. And then the government comes out with this astronomical funding that doesn't affect our school division, and people just don't understand that. They figure that when that announcement came out that every school division is going to get that. And they can't understand why their taxes are going down, and yet we have to take money out of our accumulated surplus to balance our budget. They don't understand that, and we do the best we can.
So I want to kind of talk about that because I think it's dangerous, and this is for the public as well. It's dangerous for us to budget and take money out of accumulated surplus. Now, fortunate that this division is healthy and we had accumulated surplus, but to run a deficit budget and take $685,000, because that $685,000 isn't in our budget next year, so that is certainly dangerous as we go ahead and do that. And as we know, with the labor market, we're not sure as to where provincial bargaining is. And so to know exactly what to go ahead and budget is a little bit of rolling the dice for us. And so, do you know what, I think that, we've talked all about what we felt comfortable about, and I think that we're all comfortable but also nervous around there's some unknowns in our budget. We've kind of tabled this budget as a status quo budget for our schools and our departments. I think Trustee Harris talked about the 2 new teachers and 2 new buses because of the growth that we had, but we're really not you know what, our insurance is going up, our interest costs are going up, you know what, we have salary, and then, you know, we're taking a look at what fuel is looking for us. That's it. So is it bare bones? Let's be honest, it is a bare bones, certainly budget for us. Do our schools from this year to next year, do they have the same amount of money? Yes, but is that same amount of money, as we all know, when we go to purchase a bag of apples, the same, you know, bag of apples now compared to what it's going to look like and with costs? So again, I think that kudos to the work that everyone's done here. I'm pretty happy with the work that as trustees you've done and senior admin you've done as to where we are. You get as much information as possible when you make a decision, and tonight you're making a decision. So kudos to you. So what I am going to go ahead and do, Kath, before we go, did you want to make any comment? Jody, anything?
Being this was my first time working with the board, I want to say a lot of good decisions were being made. They were difficult decisions with the information being provided to them. Definitely the funding announcement created challenges leading into preparation for the budget. We were even looking at a different funding model to even work with. So going into this budget, we weren't sure of the figures or the rationale of how the province was going to be funding us. So it was one that as new information came up, we were kind of changing the budget as needed. And I just want to say it was a challenge, but I see that the board worked well together, and we came out to the budget presented today.
Okay, hearing none further, I'm going to call the question. Go ahead, Stace. We're going to call the question. We're going to do it. We do it electronically, so. All right, so it passed 9-0. Thank you for going ahead and doing that. I can tell you that for senior admin, when we get a budget passed, there's a little bit of a sigh of relief that it's passed because they've done a lot of work to it. It means then, what it does mean to us is as we move forward and trying to staff our buildings and those kind of things, you know, it starts tomorrow with regard to what we're doing. So thanks for going ahead and getting that done. That's a huge issue, certainly off their plates and as we move forward. 8.2 is our strategic plan that we said that as our budget's now finished, that is our next major thing that we're looking towards going ahead and doing with strategic plan, so stay tuned, and that's for information for us to go ahead and move forward. 8.3 is our divisional retirement and long service awards. Kath, I'm going to give you the floor.
Thank you. One of the things that we're excited about doing this year is the last couple few years, we've been doing a long service and retirement function that has been virtual because of the pandemic. And so our group is a little excited about being able to have an in-person event. I've included for you the procedures that we use for long service and retirement, who qualifies and all those sorts of things. I feel a little like, you know, I haven't talked to Serena about how our union presidents are on the committee to kind of help, but it is one of those important things that we've decided as a group of unions that we like to do one event so that everybody can come to one event and we can celebrate everybody all together. So every year we come to the table and we ask for 1 or 2 trustees who would like to be part of the planning party. And that's the motion there to say who would like to meet with the wonderful list of people who do the hard work and heavy lifting for this.
So I'll take that. We're looking for 2 trustees to get involved. And if you can spare the time, great. If nobody wants to do it, I'll get in, you know what, certainly I'll get involved, but open it up to the floor. Trustee Nicol, you'd like to do it? Yeah. Okay. Any Trustee Dent, you'd like to do it? Anyone else? Trustee Smith, you'd like to do it? Do we need to vote?
I would. It just, if it's going to be too hard for them, I can't come during the day. So if it's an even, yeah, it may not work for my work schedule.
I think for the most part, we want to do stuff, Trustee Smith, during the day as much as possible to do. Anyone else?
I think there's also an opportunity that once the planning is done, there's also speeches and toasts and roasts and ways to be involved in the event itself, and that might be a way that if someone can't make the meetings and the planning sessions, then we'll make sure that we certainly include folks in that way.
So as board, we've got two names. We've got trustee Nickel and trustee Dent. We good with that? Okay, so be it resolved that trustee Dent and trustee Nickel represent the board on the long service and retirement dinner planning committee. I need a mover and a seconder. Moved by trustee Smith, seconded by trustee Rowan. Any questions? Hearing none, we'll vote. Thank you for that. Passed 9-0. We have information here about monthly enrollment. I think it's always a good idea we ask for this information for you to take a peek and see what it is there. If there's any questions to it, we'll take it, but it's monthly enrollment, it's for information, okay? We have a promissory note to the province, so be it resolved that the board approve the promissory note, LTP SO609, for the sum of $74,389 as outlined in the Oakbank Elementary School roof and envelope. I need a mover and a seconder. Moved by trustee Rowland, seconded by trustee Rowan. Any questions to this? Okay, hearing none, we'll vote. Oh. So it was moved by trustee Rowland and seconded by trustee Rowan. We did say that I was never going to go ahead and do that, and we're going to call you by your first names, but I'm worried about calling somebody else a different name, so I'm using last names. There we go. Yeah. Yeah, no. It passed 9-0. Thank you. Appointment of the NMP auditors for the year ending, and so this is coming out of the Finance Committee as well? Yes. Okay, so be it resolved that the board appoint MNP LLP for the annual audit for the year ending 2020-22-23. Moved by trustee Rowland, second by trustee Nickel. Any questions about us appointed to the appointing MNP? Hearing none, we'll vote. Oh, I'm sorry, Diane. Go ahead.
I was just going to make the comment that it's year 3 of a 5-year contract, and we're just notifying the public again that we're continuing that contract and for everyone to adopt the continuation of that contract. So it's not exactly new, but requirement of the...
No, thank you for that. Good point. Passed 9-0, thanks. 8.7 is a subdivision, so it's information of a new subdivision that's coming up in Brokenhead. And that's for information for you. 8.8 is the Edward Schreier grade 7 Camp Cedarwood field trip. So be it resolved that the board approve in principle the Edward Schreier School grade 7 camping trip to Camp Cedarwood in June 2023, subject to superintendent's final approval. And then move in a seconder. Moved by trustee Harris, seconded by trustee Dent. Comments? Questions? Hearing none, we'll vote. Passed 9-0, thank you. Enola grade 6 to 8 band students to Moose Jaw Band Choral Festival on May 16th and 18th. So be it resolved, the board to approve in principle the Enola grade 6 to 8 band students to Moose Jaw Band Choral Festival, May 16th to 18th, subject to superintendent's final approval. Moved by trustee Boyson, seconded by trustee Rowan. Any questions to this? Hearing none, we'll vote. It passed 9-0, thank you. We have the Springfield Middle School Grade 8 Concert Band is going to Moose Jaw, the Choral Festival. So be it resolved, the board approve in principle the Springfield Middle School Grade 8 Concert Band to Moose Jaw on May 17th to 19th, subject to the superintendent's final approval. Motion by trustee Dent, seconded by trustee Smith. Questions? Hearing none, we'll vote. Thank you. Passed 9-0. We have 8-11, the Springfield Middle School Grade 7 Concert Band to Brandon on April 25th and 26th. So be it resolved that the board approve in principle the Spring SMS Grade 7 Concert Band to Brandon, April 25th, 26th, subject to superintendent's final approval. I need a mover and a seconder. Moved by trustee Rowan, seconded by trustee Reed. Any comments? Hearing none, we'll vote. Thank you. It passed 9-0, and I do believe we have 8-12, correct? We added something there, and it was the Stace? What's up there? The electricity project. So I think that we had trustee Nickel bring forward last time. I'll let you explain, Don.
All right, I'll give us some history. In 1996, I presented to the board when I was teaching a project that would allow the teachers and students in Whitemouth School to try to reduce the amount of electricity for that year, and any of the savings was going to be shared half and half to the school and half to the division. So this time I'm suggesting the same type of thing happening to Whitemouth School again as a pilot project to see if you there are ways to save electricity in the school, so that money would then be shared half and half. Half of the savings would be to the school, and half the savings would be to the division. And of course, the school would have to spend the money on educational endeavors in the school.
Okay, so I think what you're asking us, and you did talk about it, and it was a way about us saving money. I'm not so sure how easy it is for us to track it. So let's go ahead, Trustee Nickel.
Well, I'm not quite sure how the bookkeeping is done in nowadays, but in 1996, when there's no computers, they had no problem tracking it. All they did, and the Secretary of Treasury at that time, when I mentioned it, said it doesn't take any more than a couple minutes a month to figure out, because there was only one school, so the tracking wasn't that difficult. And it wasn't month by month; it was at the end of the year, so you didn't have to do it. You didn't have to do the whole, like month by month. You did it from September to June. So I'm not quite sure how it was with computers. Whether to me it makes sense. It should be easier than it was in 1996.
Okay, so Don, I think that you've talked a little bit about it, so I think now that if we want action, we do need a motion. So, do you want to try to go ahead?
Yes, the motion is that I make is that we do a pilot project in Whitemouth School, and any savings that the Whitemouth School has from March to June, any of the savings will be divided half to the school and half to the division.
Okay, so that's moved by trustee Nickel. I need a seconder to that motion. Seconded by trustee Smith. Okay. Did you want to add any more to that motion? Don, did you want to comment on it?
No, I'll make a closing remark.
Anybody else want to comment to this? Trustee Smith.
I just had a question. So it won't be done monthly. It'll be done at the end of, like, in 12 months, or starting in September, we're going to start, like, how are you wanting to start that?
I think the pilot project said from March to June.
I think I heard 4 months, March to June, as to what the motion is. And so it's really Don is trying to talk a little bit about, okay, so if it's a pilot project, and if it's something comes off the ground, is it something then all schools are going to get to? And so he's looking at, is it something that we can go ahead and do and come out? My question that I want to come to, so does anybody want to comment? Because I want to come to Jody with a question, Jody and Kathy. Yeah. So anyone else want to comment? So my question to Jody is certainly about tracking and Kathy. So floor is yours.
I guess my only hesitancy would be it would be really hard to layer off whether or not the project that you're doing about turning off lights or some of those measures are actually the reason you're saving money, or if the temperature is just way the hay warmer this year. It's hard to peel those layers back over a short period of time. I make a sarcastic comment. What if it's more electricity than does the board get money? But that's not actually the case.
I think that I think that the whole idea is, and it is to do it for over 4 months as opposed to track stuff over years. You're right as to what it is, but I think it's a start on that you've got, and you know I don't think there's any harm in trying it, and if it's something that how easy it is to track, and I think that at the end of the day, we're going to come back to you and say, was it easy? Was it like hours and hours of doing stuff and stay there? But I think then the Don's going to go back to them and say, turn the lights off and wear sweaters and but let's see where we get to. Go ahead, Don.
I just should mention that Whitehall School is not heated by electricity, it's heated by propane. So I'm not talking about propane, I'm only talking about electricity. So the savings won't be as high as if it was in there are some schools that are heated by electricity, so the savings would be a lot higher if they turn down the heat and everything else, or raise the heat when there's air conditioner. But in Whitehall, we can only raise the temperature in the air conditioner. It's got nothing to do with the heat in the winter time.
Thank you.
I think I would say that I would support it as it gives the children something to work together for and make them think that they're members of a group trying to do something, which probably is a learning experience in itself. So I think it'd be a good thing to try.
Any Steve? Do we have the principal on board with you doing this?
You know, I do my homework. Yes, the principal is waiting for my answer probably tonight maybe or tomorrow morning, and then but he hasn't talked to and we decided not to talk to the teachers until after we got the approval, because we didn't want to talk to the teachers, get the teachers all excited, and then the board might say no. So we are waiting for an answer, either yes or no, and then the principal then would be notifying the teachers.
Trustee Smith?
I'm assuming maintenance and everyone else was involved in that discussion?
Well, I'm assuming the principal's going to talk to the people in the school that he thinks needs to know. So I haven't asked him who he's going to talk to, but he's going to talk at a staff meeting and hoping to get the buy-in from the teachers. Because if there's no buy-in from the teachers, but if the teachers, the same kind of teachers that were in 1996, the buy-in was quite easy in 1996.
Anyone else? Trustee Boykin?
I know that that Kathy and Jody have already talked about, sending a memo out to schools and encouraging them to save on power and shut lights off and things like that. So, I mean, I would, still vote in favor of what Don has proposed, but I would still like to see them go ahead and do that for all schools anyways.
Anyone else? Don, last comments? Want to add anything? Okay, so I'm assuming, Stacy, we have to vote by hand? Okay. So can you read the motion again, Stace, please?
Be resolved that the board create a pilot project at Whitemore School, that any savings from the electricity project from March to June 2023 be shared between the school and the division.
We add that it's electricity, right? Okay, electricity project, okay. I think that's pretty clear for everybody? Okay, so I'm gonna go round table. Trustee Rowan, how do you say? Trustee Rowan is a yes. Trustee Rowland? Yes. Trustee Reed? Yes. Trustee Smith? Yes. Trustee Nichol? Yes. Trustee Boytson? Yes. Trustee Dent? Yes. Trustee Harris? Yes. Trustee Mangiels? Yes. Passed 9-0. Thank you for doing that. And of course, we'll look to get a report come the end of June or July as to where we are. Thank you. We have the policy committee update. So I'm going to turn it over to Chair Boytson. Is there anything to policy committee?
No updates. We have a meeting on Thursday, so next meeting we'll have some information.
Thank you. We have 8.13, well, whatever. My numbers aren't the same numbers that are here, sorry now. So finance committee update. I'm going to turn Trustee Rowland.
Just to notify check signing authority for March, and today we have the January check register to be accepted by the board and was reviewed at our last meeting.
You also have the minutes there that are from the minutes of finance committee minutes. Does anybody have any questions for Trustee Rowland about the minutes that are provided for February 22nd? Trustee Rowland, go ahead.
I have one more comment about our minutes that you bring forward. We are in the process of reviewing policy 16, 17, and 18, and we have reviewed 16 and had some discussion, and we referred it to the policy committee for review, and they will be bringing some suggestions back, and we're continuing the review of the next two policies during our next meeting.
So that's policy committee, but I think my comments were to you about finance, because you're on the finance committee, right?
Our policy 16
Oh.
is
15,
17,
16, or
18 is all
17.
regarding the
Oh.
financial committee's
Okay.
operations, so we're working together.
Thank you. Okay, so we have the Finance Committee check register. So be it resolved that the board received the January 2023 check register with a total amount of checks of $4,076,120.51, reviewed on February 22nd by the Finance Committee for information. Moved by Trustee Rowland, seconded by Trustee Dent. Comments? Hearing none, we'll vote. No. And it passed 9-0. Thank you. Again, there's nothing to report, certainly. Or is there a verbal report with the Education Foundation? Go ahead, Jody.
Yep. So just to update the board, I am still working with the solicitor on getting this to the, I guess through the court system to get our Education Foundation updated with the new parameters that the prior board set. The only thing they've requested now is documentation from myself regarding an affidavit. So I wasn't able to get it done while we were doing the budget, so now I can shift gears. We passed the budget. I'll shift gears to finalize or provide them the information that they were looking for.
Any questions? Okay, thank you. So we have going forward professional development for the board. There's a number of conferences. Kathy talked already about the March 16th and 17th MSBA, so where most of us are attending. There again is on here the Capsule Conference, the CASA Conference, and the CSBA. It's on there. A reminder that if trustees are interested in going, you do need to get a board motion for you to attend any of those. They'll continue on there if there's some interest, but you do need a board motion for it. Comments or questions from anybody? Okay, thank you. We have a divisional financial summary report. Trustee Rowan, is there anything that you want to comment on that, the financial summary? Jody, go ahead. It's there for information. You don't have to go over it. But go ahead, Jody.
Just like you said, it is there for information. I just wanted to highlight a couple things. Even though we are projecting a deficit, the deficit is reduced down to about 30,000 compared to prior months' reports. Some of that is due to additional revenues we received, as well as some expenditures are not fully exhausted like we anticipated earlier in the year. So should anybody have other questions, feel free to reach out.
Questions for anyone here? Okay. So we have board correspondence, nice for information. Am I missing this here? No. So board correspondence, press release. So questions from the public. Jody, do we have anything from people that are online with questions? Okay. Serene. Oh. Go ahead, Trustee.
Just in the nice to know information, I did give a report at the last meeting about the Northeastern Municipal Forum, and I did neglect to let everybody know that the next forum is on May the 8th, 2023, and it's hosted by Sunrise School Division. So if people want to put that in their calendars, so that's on May the 8th. And I guess it was our turn, so.
Can you give that information to Stacy, and Stacy, can then you put that into our calendars for us? Thank you for that. Serena or Kathy, is there anything, or do you have any questions for us? Okay, I just wanted to give you the opportunity. We always like your questions, Serena, don't. We do have, before we move into in-camera, we do have a motion from in-camera that we did already. So can we go ahead and do that motion now? So we do not have any other in-camera items, but we do have a motion from in-camera.
What about for the Clean Environment Commission presentation?
So we have item 17.1. So I don't have the motion in front of me, sorry. Okay.
It's on the screen now.
Okay. It's on the screen. Okay, so let's go ahead on your screen and so that I can read it. Be it resolved that the superintendent present opposition for the Silica proposal to the Clean Environment Commission on Monday, March 13th between 7 and 9 p.m. The opposition is based on the following two premises. There is no definite answer about whether the proposal process will negatively impact, contaminate, or destroy the existing water sources for our schools. That there is no plan developed that addresses the responsibilities the Silica will take addressing any and unintended or inadvertent negative impacts contaminating or destructions of the existing water sources for our schools. Thanks, Robin. So that was a little bit of a mouthful, but I need a mover and a seconder to put that on the floor. Moved by Trustee Boydson, seconded by Trustee Smith. Anybody want to comment to it? Okay. Trustee Reed, comment to it?
Yeah, I'm just not sure that, are we becoming political here, or I'm a little bit concerned. I know it's, we talked about the face masks and we had to make a decision on that, and even though we're not doctors, but we had what doctors say. doctor said do this, and we went along with it and said, well, yes, we've got expert opinions here, and this is what we should do. So we had guidance. I'm not sure that we have guidance here. We're necessarily in the dark because we don't know if it's good for the area or bad for the area. I guess people who think about jobs would say it's a good thing. People who are worried about the water would say, well, and the environment would say, no, it's not a good thing. But I'm not sure that any of the people giving their opinion are really experts. Do we know? I'm just not sure we know what scientists would say. If the province sends out scientists to study things and they look and say, well, it's okay, it doesn't look like it'll hurt the water, then we probably made the wrong decision. If on the other hand, I just know myself, I don't know enough about it to know if it's going to hurt the water or not, or hurt the aquifer. And that's why I'm hesitant, I guess. And if we do have some experts here, they could maybe point that out, or if there's some reports and studies that have been done, then that would, I'm just wondering if we should be getting political, that's all.
Thanks, Trustee Reed. I know that I've got the two of you, so I'm going to ask I'm going to ask Superintendent Timko, because she did, we asked to get smart on it, and this is what we've learned from getting smart on it. Trustee Timko? Superintendent Timko?
So one of the things that we presented on February 21st was that it's the Clean Environment Commission who has absolutely put together all those reports of experts, and on the web page that we provided has the listing of all of that expertise that is not political and is coming from the science behind things. The other piece is that it has information from the proposal from the company. So I don't think this board is saying that we are getting deep into the science. We're asking for answers around what the project could impact on our systems. So that information is there, and the Clean Environment Commission has the responsibility to take all of that expertise, all of the science, all of the proposal, and every angle of it, and then come to a decision. It's not our decision, so we're presenting what we are concerned about, and that's just that there isn't a plan around whether or not there is impact on the environment and what happens if it is impacted. Those are two pretty big questions that don't have answers anywhere in that documentation that we can find.
Did you want to comment any further, Russ?
No, I don't. I think I said what I wanted to say, and I don't know. I'm just not qualified to make a decision.
Okay, thanks, Trustee Reed. Trustee Smith?
I don't think of it as politics. I think of it, we don't have the answers to all of our questions, so we're not going for it and we're not against it yet. We're basically saying we don't have all the information, so until we have that information, we can't go one way or the other.
Trustee Nicol?
Well, I'd like to make an amendment to the motion. The amendment to the motion is that if in the event that we get answers to these two questions, that we will revisit the decision. Not saying that we'll change the decision, we'll just revisit it, but we want the answers first.
Okay, so we've got an amendment on here, and so the amendment is talking about, so the original motion, and you're saying is that if we get answers to those questions, we'll revisit it, is really what you want to add to the motion. All right, so I just want to be clear on it. So I'm not going to read the entire motion again, but what I'm going to read in the last thing is that at the end of the motion, what you're asking for is that if we get further information to these two concerns, we'll revisit this topic. That's the amendment that you're putting forward.
That's right.
So we need someone to second this amendment? seconded by trustee Reed. Okay, so now let's talk on the amendment, because we have to vote on the amendment. So the amendment is, again, what we just said is that we'll revisit it if we get answers to those two questions. Kath? Go ahead. Oh, okay, go ahead. Yep, you're right.
The reason I'm doing the amendment is I'm for the motion because I don't know these answers and I want to know those answers. But if those answers would satisfy, if the answers I get will satisfy what my problem is with opposing the project, then I would like to have another chance to vote on it. And that's why I said let's revisit it. I didn't say that we're going to change our mind. I just want a chance to revisit it, because now we got the information that we can make a better decision a better decision because we have some information that we don't have now.
Okay, so I'm going to take people to speak on the amendment. Trustee Harris.
So the original motion is to have our division present next Monday. The chances of us getting answers to the questions before Monday and us meeting to vote on that are probably very low. So I don't think we need an amendment to try and get answers for us to change this happening by next Monday. I think we're out of time.
I hear you. So I don't think that the amendment is Don has not, from what I heard from Don, is that we are still going to present opposition. But if down the road we find out from the two conditions that everything is peachy keen and there's not going to be a problem with our water, and if there is, they've got a solution to it, then we'll come back to the motion. But I don't see it as that we're not going to present our opposition. And I think that's what I'm seeing from the two motioners. Yes. Trustee Reed, to the amendment.
Yes, I can, by seconding the motion, I guess I was pointing out that I can support Don's amendment, and I don't really, as you said, I don't see that it has to be done by Monday or whatever. It could happen in June that a report comes out, or next September, but so I don't think our hands are tied as far as the amendment goes.
Okay. Anyone else on the amendment? Trustee Harris.
So this motion is specifically only for the superintendent to present next Monday, period. So adding an amendment that we're going to do something after the fact has nothing to do with this motion.
Trustee Boydson.
And the motion also says that it's only based on the two premises. So our position is based on the two premises. So if those two premises are answered, then we wouldn't be in opposition. So I don't think we need an amendment.
Kathy?
I guess the other thing that I wanted to make sure that we were aware of is that part of us digging into this and finding out the process was, these are the dates that are available to present to the Clean Environment Commission. This is it. On March 16th, the Clean Environment Commission takes that and they decide whether they are approving this proposal or not. And that's very clear in all of this process here. There is no opportunity to go back and change that. We've waited purposefully to the last possible place for a public presentation in case those answers should come out. This is the opportunity for any input into the process, and it ends on the 16th. That commission will go forward, make recommendation to the minister, and the minister makes the decision about this proposal. I agree that if you want to come back and you hear something 3 years from now, you could bring new information to here, but our last chance to present anything is right here on March 13th.
Any other people want to comment on the amendment? None, I'll go back to you, Don, the amendment.
Clear Environment Commission sometimes will, if you look back in history, sometimes they will extend it because they didn't get enough information. So I'm just trying to cover all the bases that says, look, if they haven't gotten enough information and they give us more information and they call another hearing, which they can call a hearing in June or May, whatever it is, so that we have the opportunity to review it. That's all. I'm just saying we can review it. I'm not saying that whether I'll change my mind or anything. I'm just saying give us the opportunity to review it.
So we have an amendment on the table, and we're going to go ahead and vote on an amendment, but the amendment does not mean that we are, if the original motion if the motion gets passed, we still are going to present whether we have the amendment there or not. Okay? So we're going to go by hand to whether we agree to the amendment only. So I'm going to go round table to see that. Trustee Rowan, agree to the amendment or not? No. Okay, no. Trustee Rowland. Trustee Reed. Yes. Trustee Smith. No. Trustee Nickel.
Yeah.
Yes. Trustee Boytson.
No.
No. Trustee Dent. No. Trustee Harris.
No.
No. Trustee Magna is a no. So it is defeated. It's to the amendment to be defeated. So now we have the original motion. And the original motion is, do you want me to read it over again? Good, because I don't want to. It's a big full marble mouth. Okay, any more comment on the original motion? Okay, we can vote by hand or electronically? Okay, so we can vote electronically. So I'll call the question.
Did you vote, Russ?
Okay, so we have 8 yeses and 1 abstained. And again, Donna, I do understand kind of the premises as to what you were looking at trying to go ahead and do. I do think that if there's different information, we'll come back and talk about it. But as of right now, our superintendent has clear direction from this board that we're going to oppose the project because of the concerns that we have about the water and what it would look like. So thanks for that discussion. I appreciate it. Is there anything else that we are going to be adjourned, correct? Because there are a couple things that we're going to go ahead and do, but for now we're good to be adjourned. So just for the public, whenever we pass a budget, there's a lot of work that goes into it. And you know, today driving home, I know that Kathy, Lars, and Jody are driving home and they're breathing a little bit better that we've passed the budget. And you know, it can move forward because Jody's been all kinds of work, certainly around budget as to where we're going. As far as trustees, I think that this is one of the major jobs that you have, or that we have, with regard to our roles. And it's about providing the resources for our schools to be able to work through. I think that everyone's been able to state their cases. There's been, I think, robust discussion certainly about it. And kudos to the trustees and senior admin for the work that went ahead and happened. And yeah, let's take us down the road as to where we are. But again, you know, a reminder, there was no historic funding that came to Sunrise School Division. And again, I think Trustee Harris talked about it by saying is that in equalization, they did take money from Sunrise School Division to go to other school divisions. And that hurt. Anyways, thanks for going ahead and doing that. That's appreciated. I think that we're adjourned. Is that what the deal is? And we're going to stay because we have a few more things. So for the public, so thanks Serena and Kathy for being here. And we're going to be adjourned. And thanks to the people online that were watching. Appreciate it. We'll be adjourned.
What's that?
Don't want to take the bigger by
We need to go to the bathroom break.
What's
We're
that?
gonna take a-
They're not going to make a decision. They're going to give a whole bunch of list of conditions to the.
Oh, yeah, well, there's already conditions,
They'll give a
yeah.
whole bunch of list of
I've been to 4 hearings already. I've been there all week. I'll be there again.
They'll be given a whole bunch of list of conditions.